Yeah. What's up, guys and girls, and happy Thursday, March 3rd, 2022, man. I hope you guys are doing good today. English. How now, Brown Cow? I'm Gun, twitter.com/GunDapperSports. Joined today by the mad scientist who looks like he's in the lab, literally, today versus in the home office, man. Josh, we consolidated streams today. Figured a shorter slate, only one game at 7. It's probably the right move, quality wise, content wise. I could soak up the views all day long, but quality over quantity sometimes, man. So I'm excited to look at today's slate, or revisit last night's slate for a little while, because last night was really a good night to be contrarian. You got OT out of the Magic game. You got Utah and Houston dropped like 1,000,000 points. Bing bong. Hold
Chris
on.
Smith super chatted $4.99. For help and appreciation to Gundagger and his crew. Keep up great work.
Yo, Chris, appreciate that. Right off the top, $5 dono. Yo, Chris last night absolutely crushed it. I'll shout you out in a minute on the in the next portion of the stream. But I saw Chris had a birthday yesterday, and he got paid by PrizePicks last night. So I was happy to see that. Nice little birthday gift for him. But appreciate that $5 dono. But yeah, man, last night, a good night to be a little bit contrarian, especially if you're on the other side of the 70 to 80% Trey Lyles ownership on DraftKings, and then Cameron Payne soaked up a ton of usage, but soaked up a ton of ownership as well, and maybe people expected different minutes from him in the afternoon versus what happened later in the night. So if you ended up, building a little bit different, you did all right. If you were like me and had 50% of LaMelo Ball's 8 minutes of action, you did not do great on Fanduel.com. I can attest. That was not fun. We talked about a couple of the scenarios yesterday. One of them was, would Trey Lyles in that front court Kings rotation be trustworthy? Answer was no. And the other one was, hey, sometimes LaMelo Ball gets in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, 8 minutes. That was unfortunate. But on the slate in general, Thunder beat the Nuggets. Utah gets in a shootout with Houston. Houston, night 2 of a back-to-back, as 15-point underdogs. That was wild. The $1 million lineup winner last night had both Christian Wood and Şengün in it. The Pacers and Magic game soaks up all kinds of fantasy worthiness. Malcolm and Pelicans smoked the Kings by a 30 spot, and that led Brandon Ingram to 47 fantasy points, J Val 40, CJ McCollum 40. The Sixers were down 20-ish to the Knicks, and I don't think there's a team in the league that blows 20-point leads quite like the Knicks. So next time I see that, you're going to have to take the live money line on the other side. Philly comes back, ends up beating the Knicks pretty mightily. Both Embiid and Harden over 25 points, but both under 30 points. And Harden just 9 assists, 1-1 shy of a triple-double. Embiid at 27, 12, and 4. So they combined for 104 points at their dueling price points. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. And, of course, the Suns blow out the Portland Trailblazers. No Chris Paul, no Devin Booker. Vegas knew. 30 points.
Hey,
yeah.
That's the trend right now. I think that's a new rule for us. Avoid the Blazers at all costs. The last 3 games without Nurk, they have lost by an average of 33 points. Every single game they've lost by 30-plus points. And scored less than 100 points, and other teams put up like 120, 130 on them. So
yeah,
they're bad. They have to be the worst
squad
right now in the league without Nurk, Winslow playing right now. Right? I can't think of a worse team right now.
No. And they started like Elijah Hughes yesterday. They literally have a couple 10-day contract guys. Like it's certainly a traveling horse and pony show, and at this point you got to assume that they're going to benefit from losing more than winning more. But there really wasn't. Suns are a really solid team, so
They're so good, man. They're like built for the playoffs. I feel like, I mean, this has to be their year. I mean,
if I think if Chris Paul and Devin Booker come back, man, my stream, chat. Have you guys experienced any interruptions? I keep getting dings in my ear, and I'm not seeing FPS drops, but I keep getting this like alert from my software telling me that it usually indicates something's wrong, but I don't see nothing wrong. And I know the other day we lost the stream halfway through, and that was not fun.
hey, Gunn, if you were asleep and missed everything last night, and you woke up and I told you that Roby scored 55 fantasy points and outscored Jokic, and OKC beat the Nuggets, would you believe me?
I mean, we've seen Roby be impactful. Out dueling Jokic, probably not something that I would have ever game scripted. I would assume that Jokic got ejected or a foul trouble or something.
Right.
But no, wasn't the case. The projected blowouts yesterday didn't blow out. The projected close games didn't stay close. It was really really odd. Hornets beat the Cavs with 8 minutes of LaMelo Ball. Darius Garland's back for the Cavs. So it's just kind of a weird night results wise. And then, like I said, the ultra high ownership on both Cameron Payne and Trey Lyles on DK last night really made for some unique top 1% lineups. I'll say that. Shout out to the live chat, man. Happy Thursday to all you guys and gals. Nate D, Doug, Mia Moore, Chris Smith, Skimmer, Mock, Wall, Adam in the chat. Doug says Jimmy and Jimmy. Oh my God. 6 callers ahead of us, Jimmy. Jimmy was like the one blemish from a PrizePicks standpoint last night.
Yeah. I felt like our process was right yesterday. Yeah, but just we fell for the Jimmy trap. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think it's a shoulder injury that's the issue, or just that Tyler Hero took the game over and put the team on his back? I mean, he pretty much did everything for him.
Yeah. When you look at the results, the process was right? We expected them to score via the 3-ball against the Bucks. And that's what happened. Tyler Hero hit 6 threes. Gabe Vincent hit 5.
Duncan hit 4.
Duncan hit 5. And then a couple free throws here and there. But yeah, Tyler Hero takes over. Gabe Vincent had a big game. Jimmy Butler did not. 35 minutes. He was minus 21
That's crazy.
In a game that the Heat lost by 1 point.
Yeah, they were leading pretty much the whole game, right?
Yeah, it was a duel all throughout the game. So yeah, for Jimmy Butler to be minus 21 in a game that the Heat lose by 1, he has a Q tag today, by the way. So, just kind of weird stuff. But yeah, that Jimmy assist prop, I might have to sit back and wait on that one for a little bit. It feels like something ain't right, but I never like to speculate injuries or whatnot. But he was 2 for 14. And it was a couple of bricks on the opposite end of some of his potential assists, but it is what it is. That game just got – the game was different. What up, Top Biller? What up, Keith? What up, Hateronzo? Says PrizePicks is getting sharper and quicker. I found an Isaiah Stewart rebound prop under 9.5 at 155. It took a PrizePicks 5 minutes to drop the prop to 9. Dang. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure PrizePicks has an API that they pay for that kind of sets the lines for them, and then they react. I would just assume that's the most efficient way for them to operate. Sean says, I smashed with Rozier. He always goes off in Cleveland. Yeah, I guess so. If you want to oversimplify things and not give credence to the fact that LaMelo Ball played 8 minutes. Sure, that's a thing. What up, Jeremy Savage, Michael Durbin, Neville in the chat. Members of the body says, fire up the grill, let's cook. Let's go, baby. Small stutters. Hopefully that changes.
Is it or just
nah, it must be the software. I haven't had an alert since then. So it probably was indicating a slight interruption in connection. But I think we're good because it's not saying I'm dropping frames. I just heard a pair of dings, so I'm thinking it was some temporary disconnects. Keep an eye on that. This happened to me on Saturday, and I actually ended up losing the stream, and I had to chop it in two. And there's really no difference in anything, and all the CPU usage, all that stuff, it's all normal. So it might just be a Spectrum internet thing, and Spectrum's dog water. So what up, T Spaz? What up, Conscious? Tay, Jimmy, and Tucker questionable. Yeah, I'm. I don't want to speculate, but I feel like today would be a great opportunity for Jimmy Butler to sit on the sideline, right? The Trae Young didn't go through shoot around, but the spread dropped 3 points. The Bulls -1.5. Yeah, what up, EB? Already have 30 likes. Let's go. 30 likes off the rip on 70 viewers. See, you guys that are here now, y'all the real ones. We're going to get to 200 plus in an hour. It's going to happen. But you guys that are here off the rip, man, you guys are the real goats. And if you guys are part of the first 100 people to join the new free Discord, you'll be able to wear that badge of honor. We launched it. It's in the pinned there's a pinned comment here in this chat. We have the free Gundacker Gaming Discord server. I'm trying to add more and more utility and value to it. Added the tweet alerts to the NBA channel. If some of you guys have Discord mod experience out there and you think you can help cultivate, maybe hit me up on Twitter. If you guys are content creators, feel free to jump in here, drop some self-promotion stuff, and maybe I'll make a content creator role. This is completely meant to be a no toxicity, see each other be great type of Discord, bounce ideas off each other, and be a little bit different. Several of you guys shared your W's in the screenshots channel yesterday, namely Chris, who led off the show with a $5 dono, and now he's the biggest D of the month. I forgot about that. We turned the clock on the month. Absolutely scooped up on PrizePicks yesterday. Also, shout out to Nathan up here. But Chris had a $200 hit on Harden, Thibault, Randall, Maxey. He had a $200 hit on Harden, Embiid, Randall, SGA, Halliburton. I guess this was that was a flex. And then a $800 hit on Garland, Harden, Embiid, and Fox. And I think there was one here where he took the under, and I was like, "You're a psycho for doing this." I think it was it Giannis? I saw somebody yesterday hit. Yeah, he took Giannis under 28. Under the 28.5, and Giannis hooked at 28. I was like, holy cow, bro, you got a time machine, bro. Shout out to him. Shout out to Slim the Goat. $185 off of 50. You'll take that 3x all day long, all day strong. Pat with a nice card there. My boy Germs is out here sharing some of his parlay picks from player props. So if you guys are winning, I don't care if you're literally, someone sent me a DM last night of turning like $9 into $15. I was like, hey man, winning is winning, man. I just want to see you guys be great. So jump in that Discord, man. Start networking. Let's cultivate something good. And we also have the premium Discord as well behind the paywall at rundfs.com, and that is the mothership, the power of this stream. And throughout the duration of the stream, I'll be referencing the rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, something I've created to efficiently expedite my daily research process. And it's also a way for me to share with some of you guys that jump behind the paywall on my player pool, my exposure levels, all that good stuff. So when I have 50% LaMelo Ball on Fanduel, it's completely transparent. It's there, so you guys know it. What up, Darnell? What up, Caleb? Cheyenne? K. Johnson? I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Nate Jung says, "A gun. I took Giannis under because I saw he averaged 17 versus the Heat. Was a sweat for sure. Man, sweating unders at the end of a fourth quarter has got to be rough. I saw a couple friends sweating James Harden free throws, and I think he got there right at the end. So shout out to you. Hey, those first half props. Somebody shouted you out for the SGA first half prop earlier. Man, at first we were kind of not messing with the first half stuff, right? But it feels like lately we've been finding a couple of keen tells and keen bits of action there. So might be warming up to the first half props. I guess the pushback is we don't necessarily get a ton of them early in the day. It's as we get closer to tip off is when more and more open up. But yeah, we were able to capitalize on a lot of stuff. The James Harden real points first half, that was pretty easy. And then
Gobert, he almost cleared in the first quarter. That was a good call by you.
Yeah, and we find some nuances in player rotations, right? So there's some quirks in different teams about who might play certain stretches without X and Y on the court together, and that's a huge benefit of having a resource like the Add More Funds rotation tool.
And I think it's something to keep in mind going forward as the season and gets closer to the end when teams are tanking and there's more blowout potential. I think it's going to be beneficial to focus in on those first half props.
Yeah. All right, so where do we start? I guess we'll start with the news. Let's go check out Underdog NBA. If you guys are on Twitter, get them a follow. Also, if you're on Twitter and you're not following me, you're fake. No, I'm like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, something like that. Less than 5, it felt like, from 3,000 followers. 2. So hey, nice little round number. If you're out there with a Twitter and you didn't realize you don't follow me, and you're okay with getting spammed with Yankee play-by-play in a couple months, knock on wood. Hit me up on twitter.com/Gundacker. Key news to watch via Underdog as of 3 p.m. Eastern. LeBron James questionable, Trae Young questionable, Jimmy Butler questionable, Fred VanVleet questionable, PJ Tucker questionable, Andre the Giant Drummond probable, Maxi Kleber questionable, Rashawn Holmes questionable, DeAndre Jordan is expected to trade places with Willie Cauley-Stein on the 76ers. And then I think somebody in chat said Trae Young missed shoot-around. So, yeah, it didn't go through shoot-around to be a game-time decision. So something to keep an eye on there with John Collins already out. Might be DeLon Wright night over there in Atlanta. And then would definitely like some Bogdanovich. So let's dive head first into it. What do you say, Josh? Anything else I didn't mention that we should cover? Or are you ready for game 1?
No, let's get it. Let's do game 1.
All right, Chicago Bulls up against the Atlanta Hawks. First game on the docket, Ayu Dosunmu, Zach LaVine, Javonte Green, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic taking on Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Danilo Gallinari, and Clint Capella. We got 231 total hiccup and a 1.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Chicago Bulls. So Trae Young's definitely a pivotal piece of this game. If he cannot go, you might expect more ball handling for Bogdanovich, DeLon Wright, maybe in Lou Williams if he is able to go. I don't want to overreact to Trae Young not going through shoot-around, but it is at least a indication that might lean the seesaw a little towards one direction. I was going to make a joke, but I don't know if this is the demographic for a One Direction song reference. Maybe. I don't know. My girl's watching. She's into that. But if Trae Young can't go, we might get an uptick in implied value here. We're still getting a strong total. If Trae Young can go, I think at 9,300, he's still intriguing. This is kind of a run back of what we saw the other night, where Trae Young wasn't it the game where somebody called their shot in the comments to Trae Young's 6 assists and dropped over 30 real points. Yeah, you might get an opportunity like that. Against Chicago on the 24th, 37 minutes, 32 fantasy points, 10 assists in that game with that Dosunmu scrappy defense. So big news there. It is the first game. It's the only game at 7 p.m., so hopefully we'll have that news in time to react. We also know that John Collins is going to be out. In his absence, Clint Capella has an opportunity for more minutes. He might lose some minutes down the stretch. We've seen them go small with Okongwu and Gallinari. I feel like in this spot, they might at least put some sides with Vucevic, assuming that it's not going to be a game script for them to intentionally foul Clint Capella. And Capella's pretty cheap on both Fanduel and DraftKings, and if he can stay out of foul trouble, he certainly has every opportunity to get you 30, 40 fantasy points. We know centers have really been terrorizing the Bulls as of late, especially when it comes to rebounding against the Bulls. They are very porous in that category. They've also been allowing just a lot of fantasy points per game. The last four centers against, really the last five centers against the Bulls, Adebayo 38 fantasy points, 29 minutes. Steven Adams 49 fantasy points in 35 minutes. He had 21 rebounds that game. Clint Capella had a 40 spot in 30 minutes, 17 rebounds in that game. Sabonis 53 in 38 minutes, 12 rebounds, and then Jakob Poeltl 31 minutes of action, 29 fantasy points, 9 rebounds. So a lot of rebounds. We know Clint Capella is a better rebounder than scorer, so certainly could bode well for a 6.4K, 5.9K price point on Fanduel and DK respectively. I do want to highlight Bogdan Bogdanovic with or without Trae Young. He's been a really strong shot at 30 fantasy points anytime he touches the court as of late. 37, 28, 43, 38, 31 on DraftKings. This price really hasn't moved much to run away from, and in that spot against Chicago 3 games back, dropped 40 bombs. So if 30, 40 fantasy points is a realistic range of outcome here in this split, I certainly think he's going to be peppered into my player pool. And then if Trae Young can go, I'm a little bit more intrigued with this 9.3K price point on FanDuel, 10.4K. You can justify it, but it's not something I think on the grand scheme of this slate. It's not where my double digit salary goes to immediately. Matter of fact, in the same game, I might put 10K on DeRozan at a little cheaper price point and might expect a higher floor. Josh, I'm going to keep you in charge of the PrizePicks prop side of things. But I guess this is a game. I don't know if PrizePicks has kind of been trepidatious with the Hawks lines with the train. They do. All right. So what's maybe standing out to us on a PrizePicks perspective?
I mean, you touched on it. I mean, Capella's got to be a top prop for us today, right? I mean, they don't have his fantasy point yet, but they have him at 10.5 rebounds. He usually sits at 11.5. I mean, he's averaging 12 rebounds a game. Yeah. And like you said, he just crushed him recently. 10.5 seems way too low for him right now. I assume that goes up to 11, if not 11.5 by the end of the day. Yeah. I could get on that.
And to boost that. One of the risk with Clint Capella has been losing minutes in the fourth quarter to John Collins and small ball lineups with Gallo and Okongwu, and John Collins is out and Okongwu's out as well. So there's a little less to vulture. I think it really drives the potential for Capella to do great. What's your favorite line? Is it 10.5 rebounds?
Right now, it is. You haven't projected for 14 rebounds. You haven't projected for 40 fantasy points. They have his PRA at 23.5, so I assume they're going to put his fantasy point around 32, maybe. So there's whatever it's going to be. There's going to be a pretty large differential from your projection on that. So probably rebound, and let's see what the fantasy point projection comes out to be.
Yeah, so I have Capella right now at a shot at 40 fantasy points. So if it did come out around 30, I'm with that. And we've also dabbled with Clint Capella first half fantasy points, but I feel like this game, I'm not seeing a whole lot of, I'm gonna say opportunity to be vultured because the Hawks are the Hawks. They could get a little bit creative with their front court lineups, and Vucevic can maybe match up with Gallo in fourth quarter stints, but I gotta believe that 30 minutes is there for the taking for Clint Capella, and per minute this matchup is a little too good to look the other way. So I'm with you on Capella. They didn't have any Herder stuff that I see. They have Young stuff. They do have Herder and Hunter, but I don't really want to get to those guys on a slate like this. What about on the Bulls side? Anything specific that you want to target here, or is this just one of those? The big three are healthy. We're gonna spin the wheel elsewhere and get our access to the DeRozan, Vooch, and Levines in DFS.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw this matchup, and we've liked targeting the Hawks recently because their defense, like we always say, is perimeter defense and backcourt is just really bad right now. So. DeRozan, I mean, all his props are pretty juiced, so yeah, I'm with you on like just maybe the DFS targeting those guys, but mid tier. Yeah, if you need to fill a card for sure. I mean, Yeah, Levine and DeRozan definitely playing against this Hawks defense.
That Levine fantasy score is something I'm a little bit interested in. They got him at 35. I'm looking at 43. So a nice little 7-8 point difference here. And, that Hawks backcourt defense is not great. One thing I would be suspicious of is the Hawks' offensive efficiency without Trae Young. I feel like he is a big part of the offensive success here. But I'm going to kind of let Vegas do the driving. If Vegas keeps this game close within a bucket, I think the only way it is within a bucket, top 2 team in the East versus Hawks without Trae, without John Collins, I don't think it is a 1 point game, a 1.5 point game. So as long as this press seems close, I'm going to trust that the Vegas lines maker is assuming that Trae is in. But like I said, for our sake, it is the first game for DFS lock. It's the only game at the 7 p.m. Lock time. So I hope we'll have that information and be able to adjust accordingly. If Trae Young was unable to go, Bogdan, DeLon Wright, I assume would get next man up, and DeLon Wright really, really cheap. So he could be today's Cameron Payne. Chat, what do you guys got on this one before we matriculate on to the next one? No lobs for Capella. Yeah, Capella's not somebody I'm expecting to have more than 6 field goal attempts anyway. But I do think he is a guy that can get double-digit rebounds, close to 20 rebounds, and a couple of peripherals to boost blocks, stuff like that. So I'm kind of leaning on him for that regard. And that's why I also think if you told me 10.5 rebounds was your favorite line on PrizePicks, I wouldn't push back. He's a guy that needs a little assistance to create some shots because he does pretty much just dunking and nothing else. So I don't think that's a bad spin there. What up, Adam Palmer? Hope you're doing all right. Quinn says if Trae is out, I may stay away from Capella. I think the rebounds are fine, but I understand the trepidation elsewise. Spin the wheel, make a deal. What up, CEH? J. Cole in here. I'm just here so I don't get fired. Took a risk. Yo, speaking of Marshawn Lynch, I watched some show on Netflix. Babe, what was it called? It was the huh? What show? It was like a whodunit. What was that show? Murder Mill. Yo, Marshawn Lynch was so good on that. Marshawn Lynch. It was like I don't know how to explain it, but if you guys get a chance to see it, it was like they take celebrities and they put them in an improv spot to solve crimes that are scripted. Marshawn was so good. Yeah, exactly. But everyone else had one. Anyway, Gunn, they laughed at us, but be real. What's the algorithm got Westbrook at? Stop it, J. Cole. They picked up DJ Augustine, bro. Westbrook's dead. I don't know. Thomas says I took a risk on DeRozan boards at 5.5. All right, Gallo's my guy tonight. Doug, I think Gallo and both him and Bogdanovich are two guys I might get on a lot, especially if Trae's out. But I think they're valuable if Trae's in. Chicago's been giving up a lot to centers. So, yeah, Chicago is absolutely a Honeywell for fantasy production for opposing centers right now. Let's go to the next game here. Memphis Grizzlies up against the Boston Celtics. Project starting 5 for the Grizzlies. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Zaire Williams, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Stone Cold Steven Adams. Couldn't get you on board. What? Up against Marcus Smart, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, and Robert Williams. 223.5 star total, 2.5 point spread. Jaylen Brown is out. Josh, it's not Narrative Friday, but
we got a lot of narrative.
Might be able to reach over and grab some of it. First of all, Ja Morant. I think they picked this game up for TV, which is something I saw Ja tweet on Twitter, because that's what you do on Twitter. You tweet, and then no Jaylen Brown, and that's unfortunate for the Celtics, which has typically spiked usage opportunity for Jason Tatum. And Josh, is there something about Jason Tatum we should know?
Hey, birthday boy, man.
Birthday boy. Well, there you go. Birthday boy against Memphis Grizzlies. And, oh, by the way, a 223 total. So, yeah, a lot of opportunity for Jason Tatum today. I want to pull up the on-off court tool with Boston. I will say this is a little different split than what we are used to in past games of no Brown with Jason Tatum, because Derek White is in the mix and can be a pure point guard. However, Tatum I think he has 50, 60, sometimes 70-point potential in this split if the game plays up to the fullest of his potential. I'm going to put, actually I did that backwards. Let me put Tatum on and Brown off and kind of give you guys the split on how this has rolled out for the Celtics in the this season, since the beginning of the regular season this year, with Jason Tatum on the court, Jaylen Brown off the court. Tatum has a 35% usage rate, a 1.3 to 1.4 fantasy point per minute production. If we roll it to maybe January 1st, just to get a little bit more recent sample size, the numbers come back with Tatum having a 38.5% usage rate, a 30% assist rate, and almost a 1.5 point per minute production. Derek White being, not Dennis Schroeder is a little different than some of the minutes that we have a sample size, but we do have 76 minutes of White and Tatum on the court together with Brown off the court. Tatum still holding a high usage rate, 37%, and a 40+% assist rate. So I responsibly cut it a few different ways to maybe at least give us an idea of what we might expect today. It seems like by hook or by crook, we should project Jason Tatum to lead the team in minutes, lead the team in usage, and potentially lead the team in ball handling. I'm getting a 50-plus fantasy point projection on him at 9.4K on Fanduel. There's a great chance that he's a Tier 1 core play for me today just because of his potential and his floor versus ceiling. I do think past Ja Morant, the Grizzlies do have a solid defense, but Tatum is sized and built different that I'm not too concerned about all that. What are you thinking about this game as a whole? We'll talk about some of the PrizePicks lines, but this is a unique matchup where the Grizzlies just keep on trucking, and this is another opportunity where they can make a statement, maybe get a depleted Celtics team, losing a top 2 fixture for them. But Ja Morant in play for you, and the blocks matchup does not get better than the Memphis Grizzlies, and Robert Williams averages over 2 blocks per game. Something to keep in mind for his fantasy projection, even though I don't love targeting Steven Adams. What stands out to you with Grizzlies and Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, so with Jaylen Brown being out, and Derek White, gonna probably start and play more minutes, with that lineup, would you say that their backcourt defense is better?
Derek White, Marcus Smart, that is a problem, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to make it a little tougher, but I mean, it's Morant, right? Like, I mean, he's tweeting Allen Iverson back saying, pass the torch, right? I mean, they're going going back and forth. He's, Allen Iverson's calling him out saying it's going to happen soon, MVP. So, I mean, so his last 2 games, I mean, he went off, right? But, I mean, they were pretty soft matchups. It was the Bulls and the Spurs, ideal matchups for Morant's style. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Does he keep this up? He had 46 and 52 points. But this is a much tougher matchup. I really like the Celtics side of things. I think, being at home, I think, Tatum's birthday, like we said, no Jaylen Brown. I think he's going to try to step up and, put the team on his back and kind of show up Morant. So,
yeah.
His fantasy points keep going up. It opened at 46, went to 46.5, now it's at 47. People are probably just clicking over on it. I mean, it's still a 7-point differential from your projection. So I'm probably leaning his fantasy score as my favorite, just to soak up everything he's probably going to do today.
Yeah.
And then with Derek White now probably going to run the point and distributing, I probably also could get on Marcus Smart, 13.5 real points. Because we saw when Jaylen Brown went down, Smart took a lot more shots. And if he can make his threes, that he could easily clear that 13.5. And then, Robert Williams, they did bump up his fantasy score to 34. It's usually, 31, 32. It's a tough call for me. Like you said, with Steven Adams going to soak up a lot of rebounds. But the block potential is there. It's definitely there, so.
Yeah, 100% there. The Memphis Grizzlies, if we go to the team metrics chart and the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, we'll find that the Memphis Grizzlies, the Rockets, the Thunder, I think those are 3 teams that have been competing all year for most blocks per game allowed. And it's mainly because Ja Morant likes to drive to the rack. Yeah, Memphis and OKC are tied right now. So it makes a lot of sense to be interested in Robert Williams fantasy points if we can get a decent line. I'm getting about a 40 fantasy point projection, and a guy that averages over 2 blocks per game could take advantage of the best block spot in all of basketball. So I would be a little bit interested in that, but I think Tatum is certainly the biggest point of interest for me. Another thing to in back of my mind, I've been in jest tracking how it just seems like people are getting ejected against the Grizzlies at a pretty decent clip, and then I see Marcus Smart's name, and the Grizzlies love to talk, dog. I feel like there's some combustible elements from a humanistic standpoint.
Yeah, you're gonna speak it into existence too, man.
just keeping it out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get caught
That's
up.
a good point.
Let's get caught up on chat before we move on to the next game. K. John says, I'm stacking Boston here. White, Tatum, Williams. Might use a little Horford too. Yeah, spin the wheel on them. Maybe set some player correlations. Maybe one Smart, one White. Don't overlap. I think Tatum's great as a standalone. Maybe you can make a similar correlation between Horford and Robert Williams in the front court. I don't think that's crazy. And then if you thought that this defensive backcourt of the Celtics, which Marcus Smart and Derek White pretty doggone strong, maybe you look at somebody in the middle to pick up some pieces, a Desmond Bain or a Jaren Jackson or something like that. I'm much more respectful of the Celtics defense here because they've been so stout. And Jaylen Brown is a loss. Don't get it twisted, but Derek White is one of the better on-ball guard defenders in basketball. So kind of an upgrade to Dennis Schroeder. So I think it's a lateral, if anything else, defensively. Maybe start poking some holes in that defense off the bench if Peyton Pritchard and Nesmith have to get a little bit more opportunity. But I think that starting five is really stacked defensively still, despite not having Jaylen Brown here. Chris Smith said they had KD prop points at 22.5. Do we smash it? So I don't know what to expect from Kevin Durant in terms of minutes.
Yeah, no idea.
It's reasonable to suspect that he wouldn't play 35 minutes. It could get 20 minutes. So I'm probably kind of leave that alone. And in 20 minutes, he could be a real point per minute plus. So I don't know. I probably just stay away and watch on that one. KD is playing 25 minutes area, says Adam. Probably would expect around that. K. John says, oh my God, Horford has 10 blocks in the last 4 games. Horford does that. In the last couple of years, people don't give Horford that respect because he's never really a massive rebound guy. But the blocks and assists, he was the original stretch big, right? Boston, Memphis is a tough game to be correct on outside of Tatum. Both have twin towers at power forward center. Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a little bit more scrappy than not. But John Morant is just an incredible offensive prowess. So I don't want to doubt him, but I do think at 10 plus K, you're not really going to find me with a lot of exposure to John Morant today. I think I put that salary in a guy like Tatum, and then we'll have a couple other options coming up. J. Cole says Marcus Smart's too strong for Lil Morant. I'm taking his fantasy and PRA. White's on Morant tonight. Yeah, I can see that. I think KD's a full go. Yeah, Doug, I don't know that he's not. I don't know that he is. I just saw that there was speculation to suggest because of how much time he's missed that there's a good chance that he would be limited or minutes monitored. We know how that goes. But the sense of urgency for the Nets to start stringing together some dubs is certainly there. So I would imagine if he can go, he should go. But I don't want to mislead anyone without a quote. So if you guys have seen quotes, chat, let me know. And we'll kind of go from there. It's kind of like what happened yesterday. Cameron Payne hadn't played in forever, and then throughout the night we started learning slowly that he would probably be a little bit restricted minutes-wise, despite no Devin Booker and Chris Paul. So if we get in a situation like that, Kevin Durant might be a little bit overpriced for the unknown, especially if he's going to be limited closer to the 25-minute versus the 35 minutes, Danny P. What up, Danny? Yo, Danny, appreciate that sub. I meant to call it out, but I didn't want to interrupt Josh. Welcome to the channel. If you guys out there lurking, that red sub button lit up, man. Click on it. It's free to do it. Jump in chat, man. Join the community. We're glad to have you. Jermaine says, how does Triple J project? I've got him for low 30s right now and fantasy points and 6,200 on DraftKings. That's one of the lower price points we've seen Jaren Jackson in quite some time. With his His problem, of course, being foul trouble. If he's going to cross up with Jason Tatum a little bit more than anything, I would have some concerns about his foul propensity here. But I got a soft 30 fantasy point projection on DraftKings, about 33 on Fanduel. Does have a lot of block potential, but I don't think this is a big block matchup. I think the Celtics allowing amongst the fewest blocks per game. Adam says White and Smart having 2 point guards on the floor means you don't have to set point guard they are going to throw. And not only that, but Jason Tatum will do a lot of ball handling too, right? The number literally suggests that Tatum, having a 30 to 40% assist rate, he'll facilitate a lot as well. So it feels like a 3-guard set, even though we don't look at Tatum as a point guard. Yeah.
Hey, there's one thing that I just want to go over real quick. I don't know why, but PrizePicks keeps keeping Steven Adams this 3.5 assist prop up. I mean, every time he gets the ball, he's gonna pass it and give it away because he's not an offensive guy, right? So, and especially against the Celtics bigs down in the paint, like I feel like every time if he touches the ball, he's gonna give it right back. And I mean, I don't know why they keep it at 3.5. It seems just too low. Or not even half the prop.
That's a great point. Elite rebounder that doesn't take shots, right? So he could fall into big assists. At 3.5 is a line that he's cleared pretty consistently. Maybe this game's a little bit more scrappier than some of the preceding ones, but I could write that little nugget down. I don't think that's crazy, but it is one of the toughest interior matchups. So we'll see. J. Cole says I'm from Texas, but it was all speculative. We'll see what. Oh, you're getting 0 rebounds with Jackson, Williams, Adams, Horford in the front court. Yeah. Dude, my girl smelled good. That's that $100 Ariana Grande perfume that we out here blowing money on, right? Miami Heat up against the Brooklyn Nets. Next game on the docket. Projects already 5 for the Heat. Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G, buckets, PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo. A couple of those guys have cute tags on them. Up against Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Bruce Brown, Kevin Durant, and Andre the Giant Drummond. 221.5 total, 1.5 point spread in favor of the home team Brooklyn Nets. So the news here, not to bury the lead with Kevin Durant playing, Jimmy Butler and Tucker have some Q tags on them. Night 2 of a back-to-back, and we've talked about how bad Jimmy Butler's results were, right? Minus 21 while his team lost by 1. Just very inefficient yesterday. Some speculation on his health. This being night 2 of a back-to-back, a little bit of travel after going 12 rounds with the Bucks. Listed with left big toe irritation. If you wanted to put a bunch of stuff together in terms of check boxes to expect Jimmy Butler to be out, feel like we could justify Spoelstra giving Butler a night off here, and that of course would boost Tyler Hero, Gabe Vincent, Adebayo, guys like that. So something to keep an eye on. I'm much less worried about PJ Tucker's usage being replaced if he's in or out, but keep an eye on Jimmy Butler. Butler's absence would absolutely make Tyler Hero at 6.4K on FanDuel, 6.3K on DraftKings look pretty doggone lucrative, and then Bam Adebayo at 8,600 on DK. That's a $1,300 discount to his FanDuel price point. That would look pretty juicy as well. So I don't want to over guess or guess wrong this far out. This is the second part of the second game of games locking at the 7:30 time slot. So we'll have that information with only one game locked to make our moves and our pivots that we need. But something to keep an eye on. It's definitely news of the slate. And then on the Brooklyn side, Kevin Durant. I don't know what to give him as a minute projection. I didn't want to get to the 30-minute threshold, so I 27 right now. I think 25, 27 is probably the fairest number to put there. Probably expect him to be extremely high usage in his minutes. From a DFS standpoint, I think the decision is easy to not play him. 10.4, 10.8K. You just are absolving a lot of risk for the unknown. Now, if we did get some quotes and say he would go, then I'd definitely be interested in KD without Harden, without Kyrie, without all the usage guys that we can remove from splits in the previous years. But from right now, I'm just kind of expecting him to be limited. And I think Nash is still on protocol, I would imagine. So maybe the interim coach will kind of show his hand here, but did say the Nets need to start putting together some wins, and the Heat are top team in the East, so this is an uphill battle on paper. So Josh, a lot of speculation here. I think the Heat and what we're going to do with the Heat really relies on the official status for Jimmy Butler. If I had to make 150 lineups right now, knowing that I don't know anything, just based on context, I think I'm going to guess Butler out. And that's how I would approach Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, which means I would have a lot of those guys. What are you thinking this far out? Did you have anything on PrizePicks here?
Well, they only have three guys right now. So they have Duncan, Gabe, and Bam. They don't have Bam's fantasy point. They don't have anyone's fantasy point. If you're assuming Butler's out, I mean, you could get on Gabe Vincent's 12.5 points right now. That would make sense. I always laugh when this PJ Tucker, Kevin Durant thing. PJ Tucker thinks he's like the Kevin Durant stopper kryptonite, but Kevin Durant will drop 50 on him, but he'll still talk trash to him the entire game, and he'll even talk trash to his mom.
The LeBron stopper.
Yeah. No. It's yeah, so I expect PJ Tucker to do his usual thing and try to get in his head and mess with him. So with that said, I mean, PJ Tucker's going to exert all his energy on Kevin Durant on defensive side. I mean, Bam. I mean, it's a good match. It's a good spot for him. I wish they had his fantasy points up, but I'll keep an eye on that. So yeah, let's just wait and see on the Heat for now.
I put Adebayo on the court, taking off Jimmy Butler, Lowry from this season. 136 minutes of sample size, usage rate about 23% on Adebayo, 20+% assist rate, 1.27 fantasy points per minute. Yo, we're getting a ton of subs, man. Shout out to Unity Matters, Skates 2X, and Tyler Barrett, all hitting that sub button, man. I appreciate that. We are well on our way to closing in on that 7K goal. I think we started today at 6,613, so we grabbed 6 subs already within the first 40 minutes of being live. So I appreciate that. If you're out there lurking, or somebody that might like the channel, let them know about it, and hopefully we can get to 7K maybe this month. I know that sounds ambitious, but we hit over 400 new subs last month, and we missed a week of content. So I do feel like there's a real chance that if we put out near daily content here, sometimes 2 videos a day, a lot of times 2 videos a day, we just might hit that goal. So it's all community driven. I know it's my goal, but it's our achievement. So if you're out there, you like the vibes, hit that sub button. So yeah, Adebayo, I think, even if Butler's in, Adebayo at 8,600 is definitely live to be a great play on DraftKings. Closer to 10K on Fanduel, I need that 50 fantasy point threshold. I'm getting dang near a 50 fantasy point projection anyway. Andre Drummond does not scare me defensively, so I definitely could see myself having Adebayo regardless of Butler status, but I would be exponentially more interested if if Butler's out. And then of course Gabe Vincent, probably still too cheap. So you saw what he could do last night. I got about 30 fantasy point projection on that. A DK at 4,500. I'll take that all day long, all day strong. And then everybody needs a hero. Shout out to Chronic. This will be the game where it makes too much sense for Hero, and then he just gives us like the most modest 28 game. We've seen that before, but I'm getting a massive projection on him, who's live no matter what without Kyle Lowry at this price point. We've seen him string together a pair of solid games. So even if Butler's in, I think all these guys via their price point, the implied total here, are all very viable, but if you remove Jimmy Butler from the mix, it just makes those guys that much greater pre-flop. 30 minutes of Hero and 34 minutes the last 3 games. Each of those games exceeding 30 fantasy points has given you 34 or more in 4 straight games on this side of the All-Star break, ramping up that 6th Man of the Year campaign in the absence of Lowry. So lots of really good clicks. On the net side, with KD in the mix, if we got just 25 to 28 minutes of Kevin Durant, to parlay that with a 6K Curry, a Patty Mills in the mix, Andre Drummond, Who knows how many minutes he plays, 18, 20, 22, 24. I think I'm going to end up full fading the Nets. Chat, you let me know if you disagree, if you have a different approach. But what do you think, Josh? Is Nets a full fade for you? Are Nets a full fade for you?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, especially with his minutes being unknown and going against the Heat, who I tend to stay away from. Even though PJ Tucker and Butler might be out, or they're both questionable. But yeah, I would fade that for sure.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, so not a ton of buzz for the Nets here. Hopefully, we get a little bit more indication of what Kevin Durant's going to be able to play tonight, or how much he's going to be able to play tonight. Let's get caught up on chat. Prospect, you knew the perfume. Wow. It was the Ariana perfume. I knew it. Great spot for him. Definitely want to do a side bet of Morant not going over 40 fantasy points. Adam, who's that for? I guess we got some side action in chat. 40, man, I don't know, man. Even in the toughest matchup, I'd probably take Morant over 40 unless you got the old heave ho. How do you feel about Powell and Dallas tonight? Golden State isn't very good versus Biggs. Claybot and Chris are out. It could be interesting. We're going to hit that game up pretty deep here in a minute. Adam Skates says, what do you think about Morant over 41 fantasy points? So the numbers, right, the math will agree with that pretty well. I got 50 fantasy point projection on him, but we put a little bit more humanistic value to the level of defense that the Celtics play, especially considering Marcus Smart and Derek White as on-ball guard defenders that are really, really good, and the fact that the Celtics are pretty elite at points in the paint, which is where Ja scores a lot of his points. It is definitely one of the toughest matchups Ja is going to have all year. So the humanistic side of me kind of wants to just hold my hands up, but the numbers project that he will, and his usage rate and his shot volume will probably be pretty doggone high. And we know Morant likes to play up in the face of adversity. Unity matters. Just drop your picks. Hope you want everyone to eat for free. Man, Unity, we're literally going through every game and evaluating, analyzing every spot. So you'll definitely you'll see us uncover and turn over every stone. So if you have specific questions, throw them in chat, bro. But yes, we are dropping our picks over the course of the hour and a half to 2 hours, right? Anything else in chat? James Johnson, revenge. Come on now. Any love for Brunson? We'll get to that game in just a second, Danny. Pistons up against the Toronto Raptors. Projects 35 for the Detroit Pistons. Corey Joseph, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Isaiah Stewart taking on Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Kem Birch. A 218.5 total, 9-point spread in favor of the home team, Toronto Raptors. There was some lingering Q tags to be cognitive of on this game, mainly impact-wise on the slate. On the Raptors side, Fred VanVleet's missed a couple of games. He is still considered questionable, even though somebody reported earlier today that he was playing. And then we also have OG Anunoby listed as out, with Thad Young listed as questionable. Ham Diallo, Frank Jackson, and Marvin Bagley all carrying not for certain tags here, but let me double check on that, see if that's been adjusted since I jotted those notes down in the spreadsheet. I got Bagley doubtful, Ham Diallo probable. So that's what we're dealing with. We do have a 9-point spread, so it kind of leaves the door open for the potential blowout. If VanVleet can go, he's cheap enough on both sides that we expect big minutes. He's been dealing with sore knees, been dealing with Nick Nurse-itis, where you play to win the game, and you do not get to rest. A lot of high-minute expectations here. In the absence of VanVleet and Anunoby the last couple of games, we saw some spike games out of Scotty Barnes and Gary Trent, somebody that always profiles well. And then something that we've seen in the last 2 games that didn't happen earlier this season was Malachi Flynn had drew back-to-back big-minute games. And he stayed at 4,200 on DK, but did get up to 6,200 on FanDuel. So would assume that if VanVleet didn't go today, Malachi Flynn would get back in that starting lineup, and we just kind of run back some of what we saw in the previous 2 games. Those previous 2 games, a blowout against the Nets and then a closer game against the Nets. So there is some wonkiness when it came to bench production. But yeah, VanVleet being Q, definitely something to keep an eye on. If VanVleet can't go, I don't believe that Scotty Barnes has been priced out of consideration for me, or really have a hefty minute projection on him. I put 41 on him, and you play 40 minutes against the Detroit Pistons, you're probably going to be in my player pool at under 7K, and I'll definitely take a heap of that. And Siakam on Fanduel, 8,100 is really, really cheap for what we know his usage without VanVleet can be. Even though maybe the fluctuation with Malachi Flynn on the court is a little bit different. We know Siakam is a little bit of a do-it-all guy and can get you assists, get you those peripherals, and score as well. So a couple of different ways to slice this game up, but it all really comes down to, does VanVleet play or not? On the Pistons side, Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, usually the bulk of my interest for having exposure to the Pistons, with Isaiah Stewart being a guy that every now and then I'll get flirtatious with his rebound prop. You mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that his rebound prop got corrected rather quickly this afternoon, so maybe there's not enough juice left on it. But Josh, anything standing out for you on this one? Kind of like some of our other spots, name the Trae Young situation where Fred VanVleet information matters.
Yeah, but what do you do with that information, right? Why? You can't trust the reports on him at all. I mean, this morning
that is true. Yeah, unlikely to play, starts and drops 20.
This morning says, oh, he's gonna play. Oh wait, no, he's back to questionable. We don't know. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. I assume that the news is gonna come out right before, probably 30 minutes before tip-off, just like how it's been.
7:01.
So I'm probably not going to include any of those guys in my process for the props as I build throughout the day, because we don't know.
Yeah.
And on the Detroit side, I mean, this game, I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about it overall.
I mean, yeah, modest. We're expecting modest pace, right? Pacers run really low. Detroit below league average. Detroit offensive efficiency not great. Raptors defensive efficiency enough to maybe push back there. It's a 9-point spread, so that's kind of that door open to maybe blow out. We know the Raptors have the ability to smoke teams. They did smoke the Brooklyn Nets team. There's a lot of turnovers in that game. A lot of maybe outlier performances from a defensive standpoint, offensive rebound standpoint. But the Pistons are not a team that I'm running from. I do think that they have talent that when they're hitting on all cylinders, Cunningham, Bey, Jeremy Grant, they have ability to thrive here. So I'm probably gonna, in 150 lineups, get some tier 3 shares of Bey, Grant, Cunningham. I might consider like Olynyk with Marvin Bagley, doubtful, something like that. But I don't think I'm gonna attack this game from a PrizePicks standpoint and just kind of be really, really selective and choose my battles when it comes to prop betting. If VanVleet was definitively ruled out, right? Once we see ruled out, I'm there. The questionable, the should play, on track to play, unlikely to play. Yeah, I'm with you. The Raptors have not really been that trustworthy with those terminologies in the last couple of weeks, especially like minutes monitored, right? If you get minutes monitored on Fred VanVleet, he's playing 40 of them.
Right. I mean, if he's ruled out ahead of time, enough time, then yeah, Gary Trent is always in play, any of his props. So
yeah. And Scotty Barnes, like I said, been really, really solid lately. And those Anunoby minutes are something that they have to fill in anyway. And with the way that they've spaced that floor with Malachi Flynn in the lineup versus everyone moving up 90 feet, expect big minutes on Scotty Barnes if it stays competitive. 34 and 41 minutes the last two games, and that 34 minutes came in a 40-point lopsided game where he was having really a career game, but he does a little bit of everything, and I just think the minute opportunity at 6,400 is just too high. Even with VanVleet in, I'm getting big minute projection. If VanVleet was out, Scotty Barnes is going to be a very high-owned play for me. Let's get caught up on chat. What up, Hollywood? It says NBA Wowie shows Boucher with the most minutes with the current roster. I don't know what that means. Siakam, Trent, Boucher. I would. Boucher's not something I would get behind. Maybe if this Dad Young Q tag turned into a D or out or something like that. Sure, Boucher's somebody I hardly get to unless I know for sure he's going to get some run here, and you really never know for sure about Boucher. We know per minute he can be a monster, but I don't think that. I think that statement. I think the way you worded that statement might be a little bit misleading. So be careful with that. CH, press the like button. Yeah, hey, Rick Jones, appreciate that sub. Welcome to the channel. I know I'm a little late on that one. Doug says Boucher if Thad is young. Yeah, I would absolutely need Thad Young to be out, and I probably would need Van Vliet to be out and expect everyone to kind of disperse accordingly. Because remember, they still have Kem Birch, who has been starting, and Precious Achua that has been thriving in that split. And it's not like there's a ton of bench minutes anyway. These starters are live to play 37-plus minutes outside of Kem Birch. So I wouldn't get overzealous or hold my breath on Boucher expectations, but he is cheap enough that if he landed into 20 minutes, he has all of the upside of 25, 30, 35 fantasy points in the right percentile outcome, right? Live in Detroit, and you can either live or die with the Pistons, man. You can live or die in Detroit too. I don't know what that. Nurse, shout out to Malachar. Shout out to Detroit. What up, Detroit? My boy Chronic's from Detroit. Oh my God, Golden State Warriors up against the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, violence. Steph Curry, Gary Payton II, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Looney, taking on Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Reggie Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell. We got 219.5 total, 2 points spread in favor of the home team Dallas Mavericks. We got Q tags on Damian Lee, Moody, and then I think Clay's playing, right? And then on the
Clay's playing.
All right.
And Moody's on track to play.
Okay, so the starting lineup could be different then. We could see Moody and Payton off.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, some flexibility potentially on this Warriors lineup. And then the Mavs front court, we know Marquise Chris is out. And then Maxi Kleber, somebody in chat said he was out. I had him questionable. Maybe he's doubtful, and we can meet in the middle. Dallas. Maxi Kleber, questionable, right ankle soreness. It's been very underwhelming. All right, so keep an eye on Maxi Kleber. The question was, could we get to Dwight Powell if Kleber got ruled out? I guess you could, but I don't know that I'd run to that. The Warriors do have a propensity to move teams smaller, and this could be one of those small ball Davis Bertans opportunities. But 219 total, kind of a low total for a Warriors game. But their defense has been really, really great, and the Mavs' pace has been slowest in the league. So there is reason to honor and respect this total, especially a road game for the Warriors. You're the resident Warriors fan here. We have an 11.1K price tag on Steph. He's under 10K on Fanduel. I'm not getting crazy projections, points per dollar for anybody. I'm getting a really nice projection on Kevin Looney. I might have to tighten the screws on that. And then Luka in competitive games, you can see a range of outcome for 60, 70 fantasy points. When we let the robot do the talking algorithm-wise, I got Luka leading the slate in fantasy points. Obviously, at this price point, he pretty much has to. 12.2K on DK. But did you like anything from this game from a real-life prop and prop betting standpoint?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so you kind of have two opposite forces going at it tonight. So you got the Mavs who are on the rise and playing really good basketball, and then you got the Warriors just playing really bad basketball. Warriors are they've lost 6 of 8 of their last 8 games. They really struggled with Clay being out. So Clay's been dealing with it sounds like a migraine. He's had really bad headaches, so they kept him out the last 3 games. But he said last night that he's coming with the team and he's going to play. So that's going to be a boost for them, definitely, defensively and offensively. They really need him. They finally brought back his 3-point prop, so the 2.5, you could always get on that. And then with Clay playing, that you can get on Steph Curry's assist prop at 6.5. I believe he had like 10 last game against the Mavs, and that was without Clay.
Yeah.
So definitely like that. And then on the Warriors side, I would say that's about it I'm interested in. for props, and then the Mavs. Luca is at 51 fantasy points, and you have him projected for 64, the highest on the slate. And I get it. I mean, he notoriously destroys the Warriors. He should do it again at home in Dallas. I also like his 6.5 free throws made. The Warriors foul a lot, and I looked it up and did some research. Tony Brothers is the official tonight, his crew. And this season, Luca has around 12 free throws attempts with Tony Brothers as the official.
Jesus H. Stat meters. Give me some of that, bro. Holy cow, what a stat.
I had to go game by game and try to find those games.
You're insane.
And, I mean, it's just the thing with Luca, though. I mean, he can miss his free throws, so you run the risk. But I think his last 3 games against the Warriors this season, he's had 11, 7, 10 free throws made. But free throws are never fun, right? Like we always talk about. So fantasy points is probably my favorite for him. I really like Dinwiddie at 10.5 points. They haven't moved that. He crushed the Warriors recently. I mean, the Warriors were up 19 points with 10 minutes left in the game, and Dinwiddie decided to just go nuclear. Same with Reggie Bullock, and even Finney Smith went off. I mean, everyone was going off. The Warriors just had no answer for him. I see the same thing happening. Dinwiddie should have another good game against them coming off the bench. And I would say that's probably it for now as my favorite props for that game.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That free throw prop is very intriguing to me. With Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans kind of growing in their roles here post the Porzingis trade, just kind of being mindful of some of their minute rotations lately. Dinwiddie has seen 24 minutes or saw 24 minutes in his last outing. Bertans just 10 minutes, but he might pick up some of those Clayball minutes. Clayball saw 27 minutes, and that might be fruitful for him. And then in that Warriors game that did stay competitive, you mentioned Dinwiddie did spike there. He played 30 minutes in that one with Bertans going 21 minutes, and that was a game where Clayball saw just 18 minutes, and Dwight Powell didn't touch the floor in the fourth quarter. Yeah, and they went a little
why? I mean, that worked, right? Well, why would they change? I mean, I think like you brought up a good point. I think they're going to go small, and since it worked so well in that second half in the fourth quarter, I feel like they're going to do the same rotation, right, and run the same units. So,
yeah, makes a lot of sense. You know what else makes sense? If the 250 plus legends watching this stream right now hit that thumbs up, and then they look down and double check to see if they're subscribed or not. If they're not, they're gonna hit the subscribe because they're goats. And then if they want to be notified on a push notification on their phone, they might hit that noti bell, right? Ring the bell. You guys out there are the best. We're at 250 views, and then we might set the record, and you might be living in the Hall of Fame. We've got perhaps unbreakable 327 concurrent viewer record this season. That one's going to be tough. I get it. But the like record, you guys could break this record right now. 189 is the live like record. There's more viewers right now than likes record-wise. So if you guys want your jersey to be risen into the rafters and put on this little screen here, hit that like button, man. It's so simple. We're at how many likes are we at? 98. Dog, chat. Be great. Go and do it. You know you want to. All right, let's move on to the next game here. Sacramento Kings taking on the San Antonio Spurs. We got project starting 5 of the Kings: De'Aaron Fox, Justin Holiday, Harrison Barnes, Trey Lyles, Domantas Sabonis up against DeJounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Dougie McBuckets, Keldon Johnson, and Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? 242.5 is our total.
Game, right?
That's the game. 6.5 points spread in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. Kings defense, bad. Spurs defense, bad. So the question mark is, can the Kings offense stay up? And this total is nuts. It's bonkers. So we have a lot of heat mapping driving the ship here, and I think the most obvious correlation play for upside is Sabonis versus DeJounte Murray. Put them together and see what happens. 9,600 for DeJounte Murray on FanDuel. What? Like, what? Bro, you know how much of that I'm going to have? A lot. A whole heck of a lot. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's
disrespectful, man.
It is. The disrespect is at an all-time high. So I'm going to be all about some of that. And then just loading up on this game. Sacramento Kings, we talked about how they've plummeted metrically in life without Halliburton. Not that Halliburton was a lockdown defender, but they are right now second to just the Houston Rockets in defensive efficiency, while San Antonio, losing one of their better on-ball defenders, Derek White, have been backsliding as well. So, yeah, expect a lot of upside here and a lot of real points to be had. So, lots to like. DeJounte Murray, Domantas Sabonis, probably my two favorite spots individually, and then I kind of go from there. If we let the team DVP chart tell the story, the San Antonio Spurs have really suffered in terms of surrendering fantasy points to opposing bigs. San Antonio have allowed the fourth most fantasy points per game. Hey, running that back, though, the Sacramento Kings allowed the second most fantasy points per game. So no one is off limits. And then, hashtag DFS, right? We talk about Peggy Sue. Peggy Sue is going to play Trey Lyles tonight. I know she's going to do it. And Trey Lyles, after being 80% owned last night and dropping like 10 or 11 fantasy points, is going to turn around and drop himself a 30 spot. Should he have the opportunity to do so? Because that's the DFS. Why wouldn't he? And maybe he gets half the ownership tonight that he had last night. Speaking of Trey Lyles, looking at this Pelicans rotation from last night, Trey Lyles started the game. And we did discuss the volatility in the front court rotation on the Kings really all year. Matu, Holmes, Alex Len, Tristan Thompson, Mo Harkless. They've really just spin the wheel, make a deal. And it seemed reasonable to suspect that Trey Lyles starting 2 games ago and it working, they would go back to the well here. Well, yesterday he started the game, no fouls, barely played in the second quarter, closed out that second quarter, barely played to start the game, then closed out the game in garbage time. So you really don't know what you're going to get from Trey Lyles here, but there is a range of outcome for upside, and I guess it really just comes down to, is it going to be over-owned versus under-owned based on how volatile the situation is, and that's really not something that there's a definitive answer on. It's just what the simulation says versus what happens in our simulation tonight. But from a betting standpoint, especially from a player prop standpoint, I would imagine the guys we want to focus on, Josh, DeJounte, Darren Fox, Sabonis, Jakob Poeltl maybe. Any of these guys have some exploitable numbers on PrizePicks that you want to attack?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is definitely the game. I mean, we got the two of the top 10 fastest teams and bad defenses. I mean, so the Spurs run the 4th fastest pace and the Kings run the 7th fastest pace. So it's gonna be a track meet, which makes me like Fox a lot. That's his style of game, right? Mm-hmm. And DeJounte too. So I expect to see a similar thing where we kind of predicted the same thing with Morant, because that fits his style against the Spurs, and he went off for 52. I think Fox could, crush it point wise. So I'm leaning his 25.5 points, but maybe fantasy score for secondary. I'm not sure about Sabonis. I need to think about it some more. So I mean, he's been passing a lot, but his assist prop went from 5.5 to 6.5 today. So it really got juiced.
So
how have they been treating him? Has he played in a back-to-back with the Kings yet?
No, but I don't think that like, I'm not worried about that because we saw him do that in Indiana.
Well, you know how the Kings front court is.
Yeah.
He Gentry, like, how's he could easily, reduce his minutes. I mean, but Holmes is still out, right?
Holmes got DNP'd the other night, but he's been questionable and out. I feel like there's some underlying stuff there, I'll say.
Yeah. So it's just Damian Jones as the reserve.
Metu, right? So last night we saw Mo Harkless. You just talking about straight up center reserve. Yeah, Damian Jones is probably the guy looking opposite of what Sabonis played yesterday. It was strictly Damian Jones when Sabonis was off the court. Speaking of that, though, Sabonis last night, just 33 minutes, missed out on the final couple of minutes. So that 33 could have been 36, 37.
Right.
The game prior was a lopsided game. He was also in foul trouble, only got 30 minutes, missed a huge part of the second quarter. And then the game against the Sacramento Kings, the game against the Denver Nuggets, another foul-prone game where he lost some time in the first half. So it does seem reasonable to suggest. No, that was a. It wasn't a back-to-back. It was two of the same matches. But it does seem reasonable to suggest that if we get Holmes inactive again or out, even if he's active, he's not a lock to get time. It seems reasonable to suggest that Sabonis is live for 35, 36 minutes if the game stays competitive. 6.5 point spread. We lean towards being more competitive. The Spurs defense definitely, and it has areas of opportunity to improve. And the pace is being so high here that it's more of who can play offense better. So I think Sabonis has real potential here. The DVP matchup also kind of like gives me a vote of confidence. It really comes down to, can he stay out of foul trouble?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I would say, fantasy score, and then his rebound prop is always in play. He's a rebound monster, and the Spurs, they give it up to centers on the glass. So, yeah, I like those two. I could get on it. And then or you want to move to the Spurs prop?
Yeah, let's talk about it. DeJounte, bro. Tell me, DeJounte.
Yeah.
Tell me. Oh, did you like Fox real points, by the way? And they had his assists down to 5. And we've talked about how he's had a couple games in his last 4 with 9+ assists, right? It's 5.5. Are we starting to flirt with the over there? Last night, not so much, but 10, 9 in 3 of his last 5. I'd probably still just stick to like PRA. He does turn the ball over enough and doesn't really represent a lot of stocks to maybe I look at the PRA more than anything, but also really think looking at the points is a solid start. 25+ points in 3 straight games, and a couple of these games lopsided. And this game with the implied total being what it is, they're live for 116, something like that. Do some math. 114. I don't know, Matt. You're the scientist, not me. They're implied for a lot of real points, and if they're going to put up a lot of real points, I expect De'Aaron Fox to have his hand in maybe 20% of them, if not more. So I do like looking his way for some real point viability, and the Spurs have allowed a lot of juice to opposing point guards. So was Fox real points the move there? Or did you like?
Yeah, that's my favorite on the Kings side as of right now. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Spurs lines here. DeJounte Murray's at 49 fantasy points. I got him at 55. So it's a 6-point gap. But when we get to those levels, I'm not as excited. But this total being what it is, maybe we look at some of these isolated lines for DeJounte. 22.5 real points, 9.5 assists. It smells like a potential triple-double spot. He is a guy that does a little bit of everything. He also represents steals. He has averaged 2 steals a game. So unlike Fox, I'd be inclined to look at his fantasy score if I wanted to throw a blanket over everything. But did you have a favorite DeJounte line, and do you have other Spurs lines that you like at a decent clip?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. With DeJounte filming the stat line, with him, since he does everything, I like his fantasy. I usually go with his fantasy score in a prime spot like this, because he's second in the league in steals per game. So, at this pace and the amount of possessions, there's gonna be more opportunity for steals for him for sure. And then, it's the Kings, right? I mean, like, we always like to attack the Kings in the paint, so get on some Pirtle. I haven't checked the last couple games. Is Zach Collins, is that minute rotation pretty set in place now, or is it kind of fluctuating?
So they had a couple games where Pirtle was out, and they did that Collins and Landell game. And then in the games that the starters do play, for instance, that Grizzlies game against the Spurs, even though it got lopsided at the end, Pirtle started that one, and he got to 32 minutes with the game being a little lopsided at the end. So it seems like 30 to 33 minutes out of foul trouble is a realistic expectation for Jakob Poeltl. I'm getting a 43 fantasy point projection, almost 44. So that would be a 7-point margin between my projection and the PrizePicks line. So I would feel okay with that.
Yeah. That I'd probably go with the fantasy. I was gonna say the fantasy score for me.
Okay. I'm with that. And then somebody in chat, my boy Big Bino, what up, Big Bino, says, what's good, Gun? Yo, have Murray went over 50 point versus sack this year? I look it up, but I don't really think that's 1-to-1 here.
Squad.
Yeah, no Derek White is massive, but it's the sack. And then, of course, the Kings have switched up their squad as well. So it's really not whatever, but I'll look at it by game log versus Kings last 5 games. But it's DeJounte Murray. He's absolutely a beast. It reminds me a lot of like vintage Westbrook. 48 and 48 DKP in his last 2 outings. Both of those games did come this season, December 19th and November 10th, 32 and 35 minutes, 20 plus points there, 25-26. So that would slightly lean the over what we're looking at today with 17 to 20 plus shot attempts. So I'm just 9,600 on DeJounte Murray. It's going to get me in. It might be LaMelo Ball Part 2 for me.
No, don't say that. He's going to get ejected again.
Oh, stop it. Oh, that just hurt. What else? Dion in chat. Dion don't know about. Dion says DeJounte over 9.5 assists locking in. Yeah, I think that's solid. I think it's a real triple-double spot. Key says Johnson or Walker. Is that Keldon Johnson or Lonnie Walker? I probably have more implied minutes for Keldon Johnson, so I just lean the minutes in that 1v1. So probably Johnson for me. What up, EC Dub? He's averaging 22, 6, and 7 over the last 5 versus the Kings. I wouldn't look at the last 5. I love StatMuse and I love looking at history. I caution you guys to please put substance. There's a new website going around where people are addicted to looking at players versus teams, and it's like half the games are 3 seasons ago and the teams aren't the same. It's like those websites are really not doing you guys any favor. I promise you that's not actionable research. That's just like looking at be careful. What else we got? What up, Matt? Hit rate for Fox is pretty awful on back-to-back for points or assists. Something to keep an eye on. Now, that stuff is a little bit more intriguing. Just how a player reacts on back-to-backs and, if it's a fatigue thing or not. But not a ton of travel from New Orleans to San Antonio. So I think it'll be all right. Hey, chat, 260 of you guys hanging out. Check the pinned comment in this chat. We have launched a free Discord. I encourage you guys to jump in there. Yeah, we have the premium one at rundfs.com, which I will be in after the stream in the pre-log voice chat. You guys could jump into it too by getting a subscription at rundfs.com. But I've also thought that you guys deserve a Discord server of your own, and I'm trying to add as much value as possible, get some of the really cool members of our community in there. So if you guys are looking for a place to chat beyond the chat, right, jump in there. I've added the text alerts from or the Twitter alerts from several of the most trusted news sources on Twitter for NBA, Underdog, Wojnarowski, Shams, guys like that. And then, of course, like I said, if you guys are privy to Discord, you have history modding Discords, and you're a cool dude, hit me up. And we'll add you to the mod team, and you guys can help cultivate this community. And the first 100 people that get in here, and we're running low. We're at 71. We're at 82 people. Maybe there's a couple bots. So there's like 20 spots left to get that first 100 people roll of people that join the Discord. So I think you guys could fill that today, and you guys are killing it. So jump in there, make this thing special. And like I said, keep the vibes up. Leave that toxic gambling masculinity stuff for other chats, other servers. We're just trying to see each other be great. So come into it with that mindset, and y'all have some fun, man. We got 1 game left on the docket. We'll remind you guys that this stream brought to you by PrizePicks. We've discussed a lot of the PrizePicks lines after every game. If you guys are sick of hearing about it and you're just here for Fanduel or DraftKings, man, give PrizePicks a shot. I think you'll have some fun if you're already acclimated to doing this intensive research that we've been doing for years, identifying the best matchups, the usage spikes, and stuff like that. Or there's a guy that you think is going to do well, but he's too expensive, and you don't really want to play him in DFS, but you still want to take advantage of the research that you're doing. PrizePicks is a great medium to do so. It's kind of like player props meets parlays, and then also DFS fantasy point scores in the mix, and it's a really fun product and service that they put out there. And you guys have been around. Most of you guys have been around for a couple years. It's rare that someone that's not DraftKings Fanduel shows up and sticks around, but PrizePicks has soared in the last year, just exponential growth, and they are also cultivating a great community, and they've been really good to us content creators. And whenever you guys sign up and use my code, they share some love with me every month, and that's a cool way to keep these streams free and keep the content coming out there and be able to pay for the bots that run that Discord, stuff like that. So in addition, and in exchange for using my code, they will also double your first deposit up to $100. So if you just want to throw a $20 bill at them, they'll turn that into 40. It's instant playable credit, no slow drip, none of that. Play through it 8 times, and then you can only cash out via crypto, but not the normal crypto, a different crypto. And then you got to buy an NFT, and it just gets crazy. They're not going to make you do that. So go sign up for PrizePicks. They got a great app. They got a great desktop client. And it's been a lot of fun. Every night you guys are tweeting me some screenshots. Or lately in the Discord, we saw $1,600 for my boy Chris in the Discord yesterday. So I think you guys will have some fun if you're not already there. Get there. And let's talk about the last game tonight, the Lakers and the Clippers. Project starting 5 for the Lakers: Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Avery Bradley, Stanley Johnson, LeBron James. Avery Bradley could be Austin Reeves. I saw a couple different starting lineups. Could be Melo. Who knows what the Lakers doing? The Lakers could throw Dwight Howard at the 5, right? Up against Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, and Vitsa Zubac. 220 total, 2.5 point spread in favor of the home team, LA Clippers. So big road game here for the Lakers. Had to do a lot of travel. I hate the Lakers. Oh my God. At least Westbrook's not 6K today against Reggie Jackson. We've seen this one before. So this is we can look at a lot of what just happened for the Lakers. They played the Clippers on the 25th. And in that game, we saw Westbrook, Austin Reeves, Trevor Ariza, Dwight Howard, and LeBron James start. Dwight Howard starting that game, unlike the last game they played. We'll see if they go that route again against Zubac. If that's the case, Dwight Howard did get 26 minutes in that game. And we know per minute he can be effective. I probably wouldn't lay any action on that on PrizePicks this far out. I thought incorrectly that without DeAndre Jordan, there was a move towards that direction where Dwight would get some solid center minutes, maybe 20 minutes a game if anything. But it seems like that's going to continue to be matchup based, and in matches where they can afford it, LeBron James will play the 5, stretch out Melo a little bit more, some reason, stuff like that. So it's just been a nightmare to project the Lakers all year. It's even worse when they're the last game on the slate. It's even worse when they just signed DJ Augustine, and this game was an hour and a half after the game before it was just that 240 Spurs game. So you're stuck on an island. It's an island game if you grab action here. So officially, LeBron James is questionable. He's been playing through this Q tag. THT questionable. Josh, what in the world do we do here? I do know that it feels like the Clippers, ironically, you think about the Clippers a month ago, the Clippers have a higher predictive value in minutes, I guess, in a competitive game. I've been leaning on Reggie Jackson pretty bullishly with this opportunity without Norman Powell. Many times I'm getting screwed by blowouts, but I have been rewarded. And I think on FanDuel at $6,900 versus a $7,900 price tag, I'd be there again. 34 fantasy points in 26 minutes against Houston. Left 6 to 8 minutes on the table against the Lakers in that game on the 25th. He played 33 minutes, 29 fantasy points. So I do think I will get to a little bit of Reggie on FanDuel, but I could see so many scenarios in terms of my personal exposure to this game, ranging from, all right, give me some Westbrook, give me some Reggie, give me some Zubac, maybe some Dwight Howard if I'm desperate, to if I don't have any of this game, so be it, man. What are you doing with this game? And shout out to Black Main for the sub. There's my ticket to getting canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, I'm just lately it's just getting burned by the Lakers with prop betting because either they get blown out or, like you said, you can't predict the rotations right now. You might have said this and I might have missed it, but why did Zubac only play 18 minutes in that recent game matchup?
The Lakers one?
Mm-hmm.
So let's pull up that.
I didn't know if it's because Lakers went small. I missed that game because that was the weekend. It was a Saturday.
Let's see. Zubac had 4 fouls early. Didn't play in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter, they closed with Hartenstein over him, Amir Coffey, Luke Kennard, Rocco got some action, and then Marcus Morris and Terrence Mann. So might have been one of those Ty Lue swaps that he's known to do once or twice a month. But it looks like the short answer is Hartenstein closed over Zubac, and Zubac had 4 fouls in 18 minutes. So probably a little bit of hot hand versus foul trouble versus small ball.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, LeBron benefited on the rebound side of things with him not playing much. I could get on LeBron's 8.5 rebounds. I think if he starts again at the 5, after that news drops, I think PrizePicks will probably get smart and bump it up to 9.5, because he'll continue to crush on the glass if he's playing at the 5. And it's the Clippers. We like attacking them for rebounds. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. Like, if the Lakers announce that they're starting LeBron at the 5, I mean, maybe the Clippers adjust and Zubac will play less minutes. But it would be a nice spot for Zubac if he did get his normal run. Other than that, for the Lakers, man, like you said, the rotations, and they only have LeBron, Westbrook, and Monk right now. So
Westbrook is at 33 fantasy points.
Yeah. Hey, kudos to him, man. He didn't have a turnover against the Mavs, right? So that's pretty impressive for Westbrook.
I don't know what I got to do to rewrite my algorithm that doesn't give me the most ridiculous Westbrook projection.
It's still living in 2016.
Maybe. I'm getting like almost a 50 fantasy point projection against Reggie Jackson defense. But him and Vogel been going at it. They picked up DJ Augustine. You might see some opportunities for him to get involved in Westbrook, with their passive aggressive war. Malik Monk, I was looking earlier at ownership. Malik Monk had an elevated ownership projection, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Heck, the Cinderella story in Austin Reeves turned into Twitter turning on him when he was going for Tony Snell for a decent run of that last game. But Malik Monk playing 39 minutes against Dallas, 31 fantasy points, double-digit shot attempts. He might be somebody to keep an eye on at his price point for DFS, under 5K on DraftKings and FanDuel. And like I said, was picking up some steam in terms of ownership earlier today. So might be something to watch. But man, the Lakers, just feels like no matter what I guess with the Lakers, I'm gonna get it wrong. And I hate that it's an island an hour and a half from touching another game, because there's a range of outcome where we just don't have actionable information, and there's really not price point pivots, right? If LeBron were to not play this game at 11K, you're stuck. Like the late swaps are gonna leave a lot of money on the table. If you took a shot on Dwight at 3,800 and he didn't play, not many paths to pivots here. So really a cancerous spot.
Well, I mean, so Dwight, I went and looked into that because he came out and played 4 minutes and that was it. He claimed that it was due to soreness, but I think it's ego soreness after Luka dunked on him, right? So I don't know. Maybe it's an injury. Maybe he just wanted an excuse, but
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if it is an injury, I mean, that's even more reason to believe that LeBron would be at the 5 again tonight.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on. I don't know. They've been saying it's matchup based, and if the man's not on the injury report, and they just played a couple games back, you got to assume that the matchup based decision a couple days ago was Dwight Howard. Not much has changed, so would assume Dwight Howard runs it back here because Dwight didn't have a bad outing there, so something to keep an eye on. But that is our slate. That is our
the Clippers. Did we want to touch on a prop?
Oh yeah. What do you like on the Clippers side? I was thinking, I'm always a sucker for Reggie props in this split. But did you have any favorites?
I probably like Reggie 6 assist prop, and then second to that, I know it's maybe kind of a reach, but give me some Rocco. I've been waiting for them to put props up, and maybe they put his fantasy prop up. I'm gonna keep an eye on that because he's always live for steals and 13.5 PRA. He's starting to get more minutes, and he did really well in this matchup. So maybe Tyler gives him some more run in this matchup. 13.5 PRA is pretty low for him if he gets 20 plus minutes. So
20 minutes would definitely be live for that. I will say, be careful with his minute projection. He closed that Rockets blowout.
Yeah,
that was a whole quarter of game time. That it's hard to say was he on track to get 21 minutes had the game not been done right. None of the starters outside of like Terrence Mann got in there. So put a little asterisk next to the minutes in that game. But if he's going to regularly pick up these minutes in the game prior, Nick Batum didn't play in the fourth quarter. Marcus Morris missed a big stretch, and that helped Robert Covington essentially pick up a lot of fourth quarter minutes. Maybe he's one of those second half prop bets versus the first half prop bets.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that. I think he's just a better matchup for the Lakers
ball.
if the Lakers go small,
Yeah.
right? Like I just feel like he fits well, and they need him for defense with LeBron. So
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Chat, that's gonna do it. You guys got anything else for us? Throw it in the chat. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Tomorrow, another medium to big size slate. There's a $3 contest on FanDuel tonight. So I think it's like 333, something like that. 133K to first. I don't know. I guess it's because it's 3/3 March 3rd. It's kind of a promotion thing. But if you guys didn't see that and you want to burn $500 or something, go check that out. Jesus H, my cat just scared the ever loving out of me, bro. He just started scratching on my chair. Tomorrow is a bigger slate, 9 games. So I'll probably go back to the double stream setup. But today I felt like there was not a lot at 7 to lock in on. Tomorrow there's 3 games at 7. So I'll probably go back to the 2-stream format. So look out for the PrizePicks stream first and the hour and a half, 2-hour DFS stream after that, man. What up, Steven? Doing all right, man. I appreciate that. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button. More stuff coming in tomorrow, and then I'm headed to the premium Discord voice chat over at RunDFS.com. So if you guys want to jump in a voice chat with me and the boys, maybe we'll rile up Raj for funds, right? For giggles. Go to RunDFS.com, click VIP memberships. Then once you do, click VIP portal, and you'll have a link to the spreadsheet for NBA and a link to the Discord. And I will be in there with the homies in the NBA voice chat, man. And we'll be able to fire it up, right? Thomas's top props for the day. If you had to name 3 off the top of your head, Josh.
Luka fantasy point or free throw, Tatum fantasy point, Capella rebound, and DeJounte fantasy.
I'm with that. Booty says Cade Cunningham over 5 assists. All right. Anything else I missed? Marcus Morris at 6K. I think he's fine. He's not going to be a tier 1. I think at 6K we can kind of get to Scotty Barnes on both sides for maybe more implied minutes in a matchup that's plus, right? That's going to be it, chat. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Did we get to 3K? I was like 2 from 3K followers at the top of the stream. I'm still 2 away. Nobody followed. Nobody likes me. Twitter.com/Gundacker. Give me to that 3K thing, and then maybe we'll celebrate with a giveaway tomorrow. It's been a really good week, man. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Tell somebody else you love them. Appreciate you making part of my day. Be part of your day. Good luck. God bless. And as always, go win some money.